Hey everyone, this is Jake, aka Lunar Wolf, back again with another Talking Head video. I am hard at work on another guide video, so keep an eye out for that soon. And for this one here, we got some new content coming up with Conqueror's Blade in, just a few weeks. The new season launches July 8th, and we got another look at the Pike class, as well as the new unit, the Cudgel Monks. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So last week, or a few weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this video, they announced Season 8 Dynasty, as well as some of the upcoming classes, the upcoming units, and the new weapon class here. We just recently got a deep dive here back on June 25th, so let's go ahead and take a bit more of a look at it. So I initially had my expectations about this Pike class when it was first announced. My thoughts are that it would be a crowd control or CC heavy light armor class. We already have more than enough heavy armor, somewhat lacking on the medium armors there, so maybe it could potentially be a medium armor, but that would just conflict way too much with the spear as it is. So let's take a look at what they say here. So they give some general history as they do with every single post of these new units, just to kind of help immerse you more in the actual lore of the game. It isn't entirely historically accurate, but they do pull a lot from history, and it's probably more historically accurate than most games out there that are, of course, based off of historical events. So again, Season 8 Dynasty is based off of the Tang Dynasty that ruled for little under 300 years, and we're going to see a heavy Asian influence yet again in it, which is great. I love that art style. I love the armors and the weapon types and everything like that. It just looks really good to me. So here's something that's really interesting. So my thoughts, and again, initially was that this was going to be a light armor unit. The pike is one of the most important defensive weapons in the entire history of warfare. Evolved from the humble spear to better deter cavalry units with their heavier, shorter lances, which also evolved from the spear, the pike and its many variants became as ubiquitous across the ancient battlefields of Greece and Rome during the Wars of the Renaissance almost 2,000 years later, when mass-produced firearms finally made the weapon untenable. So they're saying here, they're giving some hints that it is a defensive weapon. This will be interesting if it follows suit with a lot of the themes coming up in the next season, where it's light armor, but very defensive and very CC oriented here. So we actually get a little bit of information coming from the actual game video itself. So let's go over and take a quick look at that before we kind of make any more speculations here. And so here is the Pike class. All right, we're seeing some of probably the new Battle Pass armor set. You see all of these blunt style hits here and these escape skills. I have a feeling that the way that this class is going to be based around is very evasive, very low armor, but highly defensive skills. I don't think this is going to be a very high damaging hero class at all. I actually think it's going to be quite the opposite. It's going to be more utility based than anything, which will actually give it a good competition against, I believe, the short sword, because that right now is kind of running the meta when it comes to territory wars. If you have another unit here that can effectively just entirely break everything, shield walls, formations, anything like that, then there's a good viable option to use this in endgame more than just for fun. And of course, because it is like the Maul and going to be a paid type of class, I mean, they already released a pre-order on it, but that's kind of a touchy subject for a number of people. It makes me more confident that it is going to be a very good class coming out, because it is going to be a moneymaker for them. If it's not a good class, people aren't going to buy it. They're not going to do the challenges. They're not going to do anything like that. So it's going to be good. I really do feel like that this is going to be a pretty defensive-based or utility-based class more than anything else. I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong, but just from the images that I've been seeing and just some of the leaked gameplay, that's what it feels like to me. And another note on how agile it is. If you've looked at all of the other classes here, they kind of have their mobility centered around their actual armor type. With the exception to some antics with the maul, most every type of heavy armor unit isn't that fast or doesn't have a lot of charge or escape type of skills. There's one or two that actually do, or any type of speed boost is relatively short in there. But there's not really a lot of escape skills. It looked here like there was a large number of escape abilities from this type of class here. So that leads me to believe it's more along the lines of the light armor. Look at the longbow and shortbow, for example. A lot of good escape capabilities there. Backing yourself away, annoy your enemy even more, back further, continue on. So let's jump over and check out the newest information that came out this morning. The Cudgel Monks. So we saw a glimpse of this back when I talked about the Season 8 preview. We already had a feeling that the Cudgel Monks would be a 3-star unit. But there's definitely some very interesting aspects about this. I believe ever since Season 6, a lot of the units have become more and more unique, but fairly niche for that type of or that specific season. So hopefully it can expand beyond that. So let's take a look here at the monks here. So like I said, 3-star units, so they'll be blue, they'll be relatively easy to obtain, relatively low leadership costs, so it could be good for a lot of different builds here. Now they go through a lot of the history. I am not going to dive into the history here, but I would recommend reading into it because it's pretty cool. I really love how they pull from that type of mythos mixed with actual historical figures and units and armies and things like that. So if we scroll a bit further down, before we actually watch the video here, again, this looks to me like it's going to be a very low armored unit, kind of like your Sons of Fenrir or your Namkins or Condottieri or something like that. All of those other tier or 3-star units that you got from season to season. This is going to be pretty interesting here. So right here they say the Cudgel Monks dress in narrow-sleeved robes, are quick to act, and adapt using staves. So they're going to be a bow staff unit, which is very interesting. I'm assuming it's going to be all blunt damage. Though not as sharp or daunting as a blade, their staves strike swiftly and deal considerable levels of continuous damage. Following a momentum-building charge towards enemies, the monks can unleash a powerful flying kick to hit hard and break ranks. It looks like they've got a shield break type of skill. So you would charge them in, they'd run forward, plant their staves, and jump forward with a kick that breaks a block on a hero or other units. That's my assumption. The other thing that they say here, too, before we watch the video, Cudgel Monks function as a highly effective defensive unit. Though they lack armor, they have formations designed to avoid taking range damage and to make themselves into tighter, compact unit, a smaller target that can hit harder when charging for a deadly strike. So they're going to have probably a very close-in type of unit formation there. They're going to have their charges. They're not going to be shield formations. We might actually see a new formation here with this type of class because it is this type of unit, sorry, because it is very different from what's currently in game. Their assorted traits are highly effective in hindering the enemy too. While under attack, Cudgel Monks will gain defense points and refill their health every second. They can also deal additional damage to cavalry units while slowing said unit's movement speed and reducing all enemies' movement speed with every strike. They are going to be a CC monster in this. I actually am very excited to see this. I hope they don't turn out to be like the Sons of Fenrir where they're not really, that good overall, but this will be interesting to see. So let's go ahead and hop into the video here to see a bit of a breakdown. Okay, so it looks like an interesting type of formation there. I don't know if it's a multitude of things. So that looks exactly like one of the moves from the Pike that was leaked. So it looks like let's go back to that. it looks like they are doing some form of like deflection type of attack here. So maybe this is building up their defense as they walk forward. So they're charging, they're moving, they're hitting everything in their way. They're knocking them back and around. They don't look like they're doing a ton of damage there. So they're going up against imp pikes, which are relatively heavy armor units. Let's take another look at this. They're not dealing a ton of damage. I'm not seeing units die. This could be on the test setup that they have where there's just infinite health for everything. But it looks like that they charge in and they kind of deflect a lot of the attacks to try and break everything up. But okay, now we see the skill. We see that there's some form of aura around these guys. That leads me to believe that that is the CC, the slowing or something. So this unit's not going to do a lot of high damage, even though they love to say things like additional damage to cavalry or powerful flying kick to hit hard and break ranks. I didn't see any rank breaking in that. I didn't see any actual excessive damage being done. It is a tier 3, so we have to assume that it's not going to be that high of a damaging unit. But interesting nonetheless. It does look like a very situational unit. One that would be, say you'd bring it into to sieges for that extra layer of defense. Maybe you're not running a ton of shield units and you want to use this as like a defensive unit that has some offensive abilities. I'm not entirely sure. I think we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to figure out how these work after, you know, the test server opens up and people are able to show us some more information from it, or we get the units in game. We're not that far away. We're probably about just a little over a week out from the game. Well, from the expansion releasing. Well, that pretty much sums up everything that I have here. Again, thank you guys for watching and supporting me. If you like this type of content or check out the other stuff on my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give me a like because that actually helps promote me with the algorithm, gets this video more views outside of the Conqueror's Blade small community that I have here. And come check me out on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Sunday. The Monday and Wednesdays are from 7:30 p.m. to roughly 11 or later Eastern Standard Time. And on Sundays, I typically stream in the afternoons, Eastern Standard Time. So keep an eye out for that. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.